Dokapon Kingdom Connect is a modern remaster of Dokapon Kingdom, which originally released in 2008 on the PlayStation 2 and Wii consoles. It's a party game that resembles a board game in its appearance, but at the same time it's also a fully fledged RPG. And that unusual mixture of genres makes for a game that's both easy to play in short bursts, but that also has the most depth of any party game you'll find. The modern Connect version was released in 2023 and is available on the Nintendo Switch console, as well as for Windows PCs, and it includes some new additions. The main attraction being online multiplayer, which the original game did not have. So what makes this game interesting? It's a wacky and fun ride, with a lot to enjoy for casual players and RPG fans alike. Let's begin by looking at the basics of how to play the game. In Dokapon Kingdom, you can play a game with anywhere from 2 to 4 players, either against human players or CPU opponents. You can choose between 3 different modes. Normal mode is best suited for quick games that you can play without worrying about long-term progress. Story mode is for when you want to play through everything the game has to offer over multiple sessions. The game takes around 20 hours to play through story mode completely, so there is a lot to see and do. And Battle Royale mode offers some fun alternative objectives you can try out when you want some variety compared to the other game modes. You begin by setting up the game, which is where you will choose a starting job class between Warrior, Magician, and Thief, as well as the appearance and name of your character. For CPU-controlled characters, you can also select their difficulty between Weak, Normal, and Sneaky. For new players, I would suggest you choose Normal or even Weak CPUs your first time playing in story mode. Sneaky difficulty CPUs are truly brutal. The game plays out in turns, where each action that a character performs counts as a single day of the week. After 7 turns have passed for each player, a weekly progress report is shown for all players on Sundays, and the game progress can be saved. This is the setup that enables long-term play over multiple sessions. You will definitely need to use this for story mode, and it also works this way for online play sessions, allowing you to continue your progress at a later time while playing online with friends too. The game helpfully suggests that with a group of 4 players, an hour is needed to play through 5 weeks of content, but it all depends on your speed settings, the number of CPU versus human players, and everyone's level of familiarity with the game in general. It's probably more realistic to suggest you would complete 3 or 4 weeks instead, rather than expecting to finish 5 per hour, but the game has a lot of randomness to it, which makes it a difficult number to pin down. So I would say the estimates are not too far off. A turn usually begins by spinning the spinner to see how many spaces your character gets to move. You can also use magic spells or items you have collected before you spin as well, to perform a variety of effects like healing or strengthening your character, getting multiple spinners to move further, or disrupting and harassing other players in a variety of ways, just to name a few. Depending on the space that your character lands on, various events can occur. The most common type of space are the normal spaces, which are just designated by a yellow circle. These are usually random battle encounters with monsters, where characters can grow stronger by defeating their opponents. But if an exclamation point appears over your character's head when you land on a normal space, that means there is a random event that takes place instead of a battle. Battles are conducted by playing a glorified version of rock, paper, scissors, where the goal is to guess what your opponent may use and react accordingly with an ideal countermeasure. The first part of a battle tasks you with choosing between 2 cards, which decides whether you get to go on the offensive or if you are forced to defend that turn instead. When attacking, you can choose from 3 main options: normal attack, strike, and your character's offensive magic skill if you have one equipped. There is also a 4th option to use your character's current job class skill, which could be a variety of things including powerful attacks, healing or restorative spells, temporary stat boosts, and more. If you are instead on defense, then you have a few options here as well. Defend, which works best against normal attacks. Counter, which counters against strikes, your character's defensive magic skill if you have one equipped, and the give up option. You may be wondering why you'd ever choose to give up, as doing so forfeits the battle and counts as a loss, but it has less severe consequences compared to falling in battle, so you can use it strategically when it looks like you're about to lose. This will lessen the blow of defeat and usually reduce the wait time for your character to revive. After a battle concludes, winning players earn experience points and gold, and can level up and become stronger, increasing their stats and sometimes learning new abilities. Win enough battles and you will master your starting job class, and you can pick a new one to progress through for more benefits. Besides landing on normal yellow spaces, there are other types of spaces that perform a specific action every time, too. For example, item or magic spaces. When your character lands on one of these spaces, a list of items appears and a similar spinning action is performed, like the movement spinner. Your character will receive whatever item or magic spell is lit up when the spinning stops. There are also shop spaces, like weapon shops and item shops, for players to visit. These allow you to purchase gear, magic spells, and useful items that you can use to gain an advantage over other players, or strengthen your character to more easily defeat monsters. You can also sell items or unwanted equipment for gold to help you make purchases. And if you're out of cash, or just feeling lucky, you can even try to attack the shop to get some of their wares for free. But if you lose, you'll become a wanted player with a bounty on your head that lasts a full week, and other players will get a big reward for defeating you in battle during that time. You'll also be banned from shops for the whole week too, so it's up to you to decide if the reward is worth the risks. Town spaces are perhaps the most important spots to land on in Dokapon Kingdom, as these are worth the most value overall. At the start of playing, all towns are occupied by monsters. You can think of these like the game's equivalent of boss battles. Each area has a special boss enemy that is red-colored and larger than the others. Defeating this big boss and liberating the town it occupies not only gives you a larger than usual reward, but also allows you to progress the events of the game if you were playing in story mode. So you can think of these as important, larger objectives. Whenever a player defeats a monster and liberates a town, then it comes under that player's control. The king rewards you handsomely for liberating towns, and the more towns you have liberated, the more gold your character accumulates. Ultimately, what determines who will win the game is the amount of gold that your character is worth overall, and that hinges greatly upon the number of towns under your control, so you want to make liberating towns a priority. If you visit a town that you've already liberated, you can collect tax money from it, upgrade its value by investing gold into it, and you can also rest there for free to refill your health. If you visit another player's town, you can still rest if you pay some gold, or you can try to attack the town and steal its tax money. But just like with attacking the shops, this carries its own risks if you fail. But this is a multiplayer game with a competitive focus, so there are ways you can disrupt the current state and standing of things. In some cases, with the right conditions met, you can even reset the playing field very drastically. If two players meet up on the same yellow space, then they will battle each other rather than a monster. The winning player will be able to force a punishment of their choosing on the losing player. This can be as significant as stealing their weapon or taking control of one of their liberated towns, or as humorous as giving them a ridiculous haircut, doodling on their face, or changing their name to something funny or silly. There are other ways you may randomly lose a town under your control, too. Sometimes boss monsters will summon a monster on a random town that is liberated, and then whoever liberates it becomes the new owner. You may also lose control of one of your liberated towns as a consequence of falling in battle, especially against the red boss enemies. These are just a few examples of how things can change unexpectedly as you play. Even the events you see will be random for the most part. You might encounter a thief that lets you steal gold or items from other players, or a robot assassin that will battle any player on your behalf for the right price. A village girl who gives you items you can deliver to a specific place to get a reward, or even a giant mole that helps you increase the value of your liberated towns. These are just a few of the many types of events you can encounter at random, and often the results are unpredictable too. So be sure to try different things and see what happens as you play. When you finish a game, the king gathers everyone around and cruelly ranks them all various degrees of terrible, except for the winner, of course. The brutal nature of the put-down from the king is part of the game's unique charm, but at the end of the day, it's all about how rich you became during the game session. And most of that comes down to how lucrative the towns were that are under your control at the end. Similar to the popular board game Monopoly, the further you progress in Dokapon Kingdom, the more value each new town has. And so the ones towards the end of the game become the most lucrative to get a hold of. Although there are systems in the game to increase the value of towns too, so even the earlier ones can become worthwhile and sought after if they have been heavily invested in. All in all, whether it's the game's charming presentation, the significant depth to the gameplay, the pick-up and play nature of the party game mechanics, or just the sheer insanity of the random way that things play out, each time you play Dokapon Kingdom Connect will be different than the time before. There is so much variety, unpredictability, and depth that even when you have the game fairly well figured out, there will still be new things that happen to surprise you that you haven't seen before. There are many secrets to be uncovered in the game as well, including hidden areas of the map and a number of job classes beyond the 3 starting options, some of which have specific secret requirements to unlock them. It would take a really long time to show off everything this game has to offer, and a single playthrough of the story mode is just the beginning. The more you play, the more you learn about how the game works and its secrets, and even when you feel like you've mastered them, it takes a lot of dedication and time to fully unlock and access everything there is to see. But on the other hand, you also don't have to worry about any of that and can just pick up the game and enjoy playing it casually in quick party game fashion too, if you prefer, so it offers the best of both worlds. If you're looking for a fun multiplayer game for your next gathering of friends, or even just a wacky single-player RPG Lite experience that never plays the same way twice, you'll find a lot to enjoy with Dokapon Kingdom. And thanks to the modern Connect version's new features, you can even enjoy playing with long-distance friends online, which was not an option back when the original version of the game released. What stands out to you about Dokapon Kingdom Connect? Share your thoughts with everyone in the comments section. If you enjoyed this video, I'd appreciate it if you gave it a like, so others can find it more easily. Thank you for watching all the way through. Until next time.